Hi, my name is Ronaldo Arias, and I will be presenting my paintball project for my IT1140 class. I already set up everything needed to start the server on AFS, so I'll just start it up. So with the lobby called, I will now go and bring up the client before I start explaining the project. This is a problem I have. It's AFS connect one.njt.edu. I have to do. So, all right, I've now connected to the server. I had a problem bringing in the name of the host. So right here, you can see that the server can be called, the server can be started. If I go back to AFS, you can see that the lobby has indeed been called, the player has indeed been added to the lobby, and it will broadcast messages to all players. Let me bring up a second terminal. Um, as you can see, there's now two people in the server. It doesn't broadcast the first person to join on the second user. And if we look to the right here, we already see one of the issues I've been having. I tried to implement coloring to the names based on teams, but as you can see, it displays square 31 semicolon 1M. The code does not the code's not allowing me to place in the colors. There is indeed a scoreboard, but it's manually implemented at 0, since when we actually get to the game and I explain what happened, you'll see that there's no way for the score to be called. But yes, the server can be ran. There is indeed a play area. There is indeed a chat area, which will broadcast the chat to both players, as well as, if I go down here, it's a bit hard to read if you're zoomed out, but it will say the chat was received from client, and it will display it to everyone else. So if I go and make a room, there's a search area for a room and a create area for a room. So if I make a test room will bring everything up. The person will be separated from the room and placed into the test room, where then anything said in this room will not be sent over here, but the server will indeed acknowledge that there was something sent. While this person is still in the lobby, I have implemented a way which, if the player is in the lobby, it's trying to start up the server will do nothing. The game only starts outside. That way, a player does not join the lobby and is immediately placed inside one of the games and plays as a ghost or breaks anything. As you can see here, the person can join the room automatically right there. And now, if I do the code /ready, all players need to say ready. And once that happens, both players are brought in, separated by color, red and blue, with scores and time. Both players are able to move, and it will display, if I could set it up, it will display in roughly real time. There is indeed some server lag, so if the player moves, as you can see, it's accurate-ish. It's mostly due to the server and server lag. Sometimes if I just randomly hit buttons like that, the player will end up in a different position, which could lead to some wonky instances, but it's roughly the area where they should be. the main issue is server stuff, server lag. Sometimes if I press keys too fast, it'll miss a key. Like if I'm pressing down, then up, it works. But if I just start spamming it, some of the movements aren't being copied, which is a problem. And then onto one of the major issues. As you can see, the player has a barrel which is pointing to the bottom right corner. And if I press spacebar, it shoots out of the top left. Now, this is because this dot right here is where everything's being controlled at for some reason. While the player is capable of moving their player, this white dot here is what's actually being rotated as well as being shot from. The shooting, by the way, is supposed to be a circle, but since there's nothing limiting how much they could shoot in a second, they could shoot a line if they wanted to. Both players can. I'm not entirely sure how I managed to get the dot stuck here. I know I've been testing out trying to either increase the dot or decrease the dot, as well as place it onto the player, but everything I tried just has not functioned on this white dot. I've searched through my code twice. I re-implemented the movement features. I went from mouse to then keystrokes to anything I could try, and the dot still stays on this corner, and it still is what the player controls in terms of rotation as well as movement. As you can see, there's a white line down here. This is supposed to be the border, but there's no collision in place. There's no collision meant to be for the players, and since the player is shooting from this dot, there's also no collision for the enemies, although if you can see, shooting is only on one client, its client side, which again is because I've been trying to fix this dot, move it around, do anything with it, and it just does not want to move. But since there's no collision, there's nothing that stops the player from moving outside of the screen bounds, although the screen will have a boundary no matter how large or small you make it, that white line. So even if you place it to half, you can't scroll down, but the line still stays where it is. Nothing you do will change the size of that box. That box is a fixed size. Besides that, the player could leave the room whenever they want to. Time has not been progressing at all. I guess I might have broken something. I remember before time did progress down, and eventually the game will end. But the player is able to leave. Once they leave, they're removed from this. The other player could then join, and if we look at if we then look at the server, it'll set players to inactive. It'll set the players to inactive, yep. And the room is now gone since there are 0 players inside the lobby.